Today we're going to go over how to find open educational resources in OER Commons. This is the OER Commons homepage where it shows you the default search. The default search has a text box for keywords, a filter by subject, a filter for educational level, and a filter for different state standards. And keep in mind that this platform is for educational levels beyond just college, anywhere from elementary school through college. So it's really important to click the correct educational level that you're looking for. So we're going to try a few different subjects in this video, but let's start with calculus. I'm going to enter calculus in the search bar, put mathematics for the subject, make sure to click community college lower division, and then I'm going to leave the standards alone because those are mostly K through 12 standards. And as you can see, it has come up with 235 results for us, but that's a lot to go through. So let's see if we can narrow those results down any further. There are a few different ways that you can narrow down your results to get what you want. Let's start with the material type. As this list shows, we have all different types of materials here, including textbooks, courseware, lab activities, lecture, homework, lesson plans, syllabi, simulations, etc. But if you're looking for an OER, you're most likely looking for something specific. So let's say that we're looking for homework. I'm going to just click the homework filter. And then if we go back up, you see that our results went from 235 down to 28 with the homework category clicked. So that's how much that using just one filter can narrow down your search results. Another way that you might have to narrow down your results in the case of OER would be for certain license types. Now, the license type of whatever you're looking for depends on what you want to do with it. So let's say in my case, I'm a calculus teacher trying to create a new homework set. Since I'm trying to create something new out of material that already exists, I will be remixing the homework materials that I find and turn into a new project. That's important because then you need to find works that are allowed to be remixed in that way. So let's look at our options. There's unrestricted use. That's pretty much what it sounds like. Remix and share permitted. Then there's only sharing permitted. That means that you're not allowed to, take pieces from here and there and put it into a new work. The ones that we would be able to reuse would be the unrestricted use and conditional remix and share permitted, because those two are the only two that we know for sure we're allowed to remix as long as we follow certain conditions. Now, as with all of the different OER platforms that you'll see, not all subjects have the same amount of resources. And this is just based on what I've seen from other colleges, the Academic Senate's website for OER by discipline. Drawing is a topic that I don't see a lot of representation on in those curated lists. So let's see what we can find. Okay, we have 137 results. Now, so I'm going to go down to material type and click textbook. Boom. So this time I am an instructor who's not interested in remixing or creating anything new out of what I find. I just want to use the textbook as is without editing it at all. You don't need to filter by license type. One thing to keep in mind is that the filters will usually not filter out everything for you, especially for subjects that are not as well represented in the search databases. For example, it didn't filter out these two story compilations. Well, okay, now we see why, because the subject area is on arts and humanities, and we just need visual arts. So let's see if that takes those out. And it still didn't. It probably has to do with the way that it's tagged. It has visual arts listed as the subject. But while it is a book with drawing in it, it is not a book about drawing that you would want to use for a drawing class textbook. So those are the types of results that might still pop up in your search results that are hard for the search engine to filter out because they were tagged with something that it's only like tangentially related to. So that's where you still have to do some work, especially with the subjects that are a little bit harder to find. So that's where other resources come in. And in this case, I would suggest reaching out to a librarian to see if we have a book that we can use to make your class ZTC in lieu of not having any appropriate OERs available. Let's try one more subject. And this time, let me look for US history. Put history as a subject. Make sure that community college lower division is still checked on the education level, and hit search. And here we got a lot of results. Again, we got 632. So between the three subject searches, you can see that there's a pretty big range of the amount of resources for different subjects, and it really depends on the subject. Now let's filter it again. As I mentioned, we want US history, so I'm going to click US history under the subject area just to specify that. Now let's say I want some primary sources. I'm going to click primary source under material type. And that narrowed our results down a little bit more, down to 417, but that's still a lot to go through. And the topics are still all over the place, even though we tried to specify with US history. So when it comes to really broad topics, like even the subtopic being broad, like US history, you're going to want to specify in the search bar what history topic you want specifically. So let's add Civil War. And that brought it down to 127. It looks like we have a bunch of different media types here. And again, if you take a closer look, not all of these are technically primary sources. Then as you go further down, you see a mix of like real primary sources mixed in with secondary sources that are for some reason tagged primary source. Not sure, but that just goes to show you that these search engines largely depend on how people tag the items that they upload. It is kind of on a case-by-case basis, and you kind of are just assuming that everyone is tagging things correctly, but they're not always, and that's something to look out for in a lot of these OER repositories. Now, OER Commons actually, despite like the discrepancies in the search results that we found, it actually has one of the more robust filter. His Open Textbook Library and OpenStax come up with a lot more irrelevant results for the subject. So that's why OER Commons is my preference for like an overall search. Now, if you're looking specifically for a LibreText libraries would be the best place to look for those. And we go over that in the LibreText tutorial on the library guide.